Explosions ripped through the night like thunder tearing the sky apart. Cade Mercer lay flat on shattered concrete, rifle pressed into his shoulder, breath slow and controlled despite the chaos roaring around him. Smoke burned his lungs. The city below was a maze of collapsed buildings, burning vehicles, screaming radios. In his scope, a single figure sprinted between shadows. The ghost, Cade muttered. The rebel commander had evaded capture for months. Every ambush, every massacre carried the same signature. Precision. Speed. No mercy. Target moving northeast, Cade whispered into his comms. Clear shot, his spotter asked. Cade adjusted his scope. Wind drifting left. Distance steady. Yes. The ghost leaped over debris, cloak flaring. Just as Cade squeezed the trigger, a blast rocked the building. The bullet tore through fabric instead of flesh, ripping the edge of the mask. The ghost stumbled, recovered, and turned. For half a second, their eyes met through smoke and fire. Something struck Cade like a punch to the chest. The eyes were familiar. Too familiar. Then the figure vanished into the ruins. Damn it, Cade snapped, slamming his fist into the ground. You lost him, the spotter barked. He's gone. Silence followed except for distant gunfire. Cade didn't answer. His pulse hammered for reasons he couldn't explain. He kept seeing those eyes. Cut to black. Years earlier, the world had been quieter. Two boys raced barefoot through tall grass toward a rusted fence. Eli laughed as Cade shoved him sideways. You're slow, Cade teased. You cheat. Eli protested, grinning. They collapsed under a tree, breathing hard. Their father stood nearby, sharpening a blade, watching them with tired eyes. Listen, the man said. The world doesn't protect you. You protect each other. Cade nodded seriously. Eli saluted jokingly. Promise me, their father pressed. No matter what happens. Cade placed his hand over Eli's. Always. Always, Eli echoed. That promise felt like a lifetime ago. The Civil War came like a sickness. Government forces swept through towns, rebels answered with bombs, and civilians were crushed between them. One night, sirens screamed. Fires lit the streets. Families ran in every direction. Cade dragged Eli through smoke, coughing. Don't let go. Cade shouted. A blast threw them apart. Cade woke under rubble, ears ringing, screaming Eli's name into choking dust. No answer. Only flames and bodies. By morning, Eli was gone. Cade searched for weeks. Nothing. No bodies. No survivors. Eventually, grief hardened into something colder. He enlisted. Years passed. Missions blurred together. Cade became one of the Army's deadliest snipers. His kills were clean, efficient, detached. They called him Deadeye. But at night, sometimes he dreamed of tall grass and laughter. On the other side of the war, Eli didn't die either. He woke buried under debris, lungs burning, pulled free by strangers with rebel insignias stitched onto their sleeves. They fed him, sheltered him, treated his injuries. He learned quickly what the government had done to villages like theirs. Anger replaced innocence. Eli trained harder than anyone. Learned tactics. Led raids. Saved his squad repeatedly. A blast during a mission scarred his face. He began wearing a mask. Soon whispers followed him. The ghost. He became the symbol of resistance. Ruthless. Calculated. Untouchable. Neither brother knew the other lived. Until the night their eyes met through a rifle scope. Cade couldn't shake it. The next mission briefing blurred past his ears. Maps. Coordinates. Orders. His commanding officer leaned in. We're pushing deeper into rebel territory tomorrow. The ghost is expected to surface. Cade's jaw tightened. I'll take the shot. Make it clean. He nodded. That night, Cade sat alone cleaning his rifle. His spotter, Mason, leaned against the wall. You hesitated yesterday, Mason said quietly. Cade didn't look up. No, I didn't. Mason raised an eyebrow. You never miss moving targets. Cade chambered around, slower than usual. Just bad timing. Mason studied him. Don't let ghosts get into your head. Cade forced a thin smile. Yeah. But sleep didn't come easy. Across the city, Eli studied a map under dim lantern light. His lieutenant, Rana, tapped a marked street. Government sniper team reported here. Eli's eyes narrowed behind the mask. Deadeye. Rana smirked. The legend himself. Eli felt something stir inside his chest. Not fear. Curiosity. Set the trap, Eli said. I want him alive if possible. Rana hesitated. Alive? Yes. He didn't know why he said it. Morning broke with artillery thunder. Cade and Mason positioned on a half-collapsed rooftop overlooking a wide avenue. Rebel movement picked up fast. There, Mason whispered. Cade spotted a masked figure directing fighters. The ghost. His finger tightened on the trigger. The ghost raised a hand suddenly. Rebel fighters scattered. Wait, Cade muttered. An explosion erupted below their building. The floor shook violently. Ambush! Mason yelled. Gunfire hammered the rooftop. Bullets shattered concrete inches from their faces. They knew we were here. Mason shouted. Cade returned fire, covering Mason as they crawled backward. Smoke grenades flooded the rooftop. Through the haze, a figure moved with purpose. The ghost climbed toward them. Cade's heart slammed against his ribs. He fired once. Missed. The ghost leapt onto the rooftop. They faced each other through swirling smoke, rifles raised. For a heartbeat, neither fired. You're Deadeye, the ghost said through a voice modulator. Cade froze. And you're the coward hiding behind a mask. The ghost tilted his head. Funny. I was about to say the same. Gunfire erupted again from below. Mason screamed as a round grazed his shoulder. We gotta move. Mason yelled. The ghost stepped closer, rifle steady. Who are you? Cade demanded. The ghost hesitated. That hesitation saved Cade's life. Another explosion tore through the rooftop. The floor collapsed between them. Cade grabbed Mason and slid down a slanted slab, crashing into the building interior. Dust swallowed everything. By the time Cade regained his footing, the ghost was gone again. They barely escaped. Back at base, medics patched Mason up. You okay? Mason groaned. Yeah, Cade said, though his hands still trembled. Mason squinted at him. You talked to him. Cade didn't answer. That night, Cade replayed the voice in his head. The tone. The rhythm. It stirred buried memories he didn't want to face. Across the city, Eli removed his mask slowly, staring at his reflection in cracked glass. His scar twisted across his cheek. He sounds like Cade, Eli whispered to himself. Rana entered quietly. You okay? Eli forced the mask back on. He's dangerous. We need to finish this. But something inside him wasn't convinced. If this story is pulling you in already, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment telling us what you think might happen when these two finally meet face to face. Your support helps bring more cinematic stories like this to life. 2 days later, intelligence confirmed both forces would collide inside an abandoned industrial district. Tight corridors. Limited escape routes. A perfect kill zone. Cade loaded his rifle in silence. Mason watched him. If you get a clean shot, you take it. No hesitation. Cade nodded. Eli briefed his squad the same night. We strike fast. Then vanish. Rana locked eyes with him. If you see Deadeye, don't underestimate him. Eli swallowed. I won't. Neither man knew destiny was closing the distance between them faster than bullets. And neither was ready for what the next encounter would reveal. Rain poured in sheets as the industrial district emerged from the fog like a graveyard of steel. Rusted factories loomed overhead. Broken windows stared like empty eyes. Every echo bounced twice, making distance impossible to judge. Cade moved with Mason through a shattered loading bay, boots crunching on gravel and glass. Too quiet, Mason whispered. Cade nodded. His grip tightened on the rifle. Every shadow felt alive. Across the district, Eli guided his unit through a collapsed warehouse, hand signals sharp and precise. Rana followed closely. Thermal picked up movement north, she murmured. Eli raised a fist. Hold. He scanned the broken catwalks and stairwells. His pulse thudded louder than the rain. Somewhere in this maze was the man whose voice haunted his thoughts. A metallic clang echoed. Cade froze. Contact, Mason breathed. A rebel scout darted across a doorway. Cade fired. The body dropped. Gunfire exploded instantly from every direction. Move! Mason shouted. They dove behind a forklift as bullets chewed into steel. Cade returned fire, dropping another rebel behind a crate. Ghost is here, Mason said. Cade scanned through rain and smoke. Then he saw him. The ghost sprinted across a conveyor platform, directing fighters with calm precision. Even under fire, the figure moved with unnatural confidence. Cade lifted his scope. His finger hovered. A rebel rushed the ghost, yelling something urgent. The ghost turned, voice raised. Even through distance and rain, Cade recognized the cadence. His breath caught. No, he whispered. Mason fired past him. Take the shot. Cade couldn't pull the trigger. The ghost vanished into cover. Why didn't you shoot? Mason demanded. I didn't have the angle, Cade lied. Another blast rocked the building. Smoke filled the corridor. They pushed deeper inside to avoid being flanked. Across the battlefield, Eli ducked behind a steel pillar as debris rained down. Rana leaned in. You hesitated again. Eli's jaw tightened. Focus. But his mind raced. That voice. The posture. The way the sniper held his rifle. It mirrored his own memories. The firefight intensified. Echoing gunshots blurred into chaos. Fighters dropped on both sides. Shouts overlapped. Cade and Mason breached into a long assembly hall filled with towering machines. Split, Mason said. I'll flank. Negative, Cade snapped. Stay close. Mason hesitated but obeyed. Suddenly, movement above. The ghost dropped from a catwalk, landing hard behind a press machine. Cade spun, rifle raised. They were barely 20 feet apart. Deadeye, the ghost called calmly. You're predictable. Cade's voice came sharp. Take off the mask. A pause. Why? The ghost asked. So I know who I'm killing. Silence stretched between gunfire bursts. You really think knowing would make it easier? The ghost said. Mason whispered urgently. Cade. Stay back, Cade ordered without looking. The ghost stepped partially into view. Rain streaked across the mask. His rifle stayed lowered. You sound angry, the ghost said. What are you fighting for? Cade's chest tightened. I fight so people like you stop burning cities. The ghost laughed bitterly. You think your side is clean? Cade flinched. You murder civilians. You follow orders without asking who bleeds. Their words cut sharper than bullets. Mason raised his weapon slightly. The ghost noticed. His rifle snapped up instantly, aimed at Mason's chest. Don't, Cade warned. The ghost's voice softened slightly. Tell him to lower it. Cade hesitated, then nodded to Mason. Stand down. Mason stared at him like he'd lost his mind. Slowly, he lowered his weapon. Rain drummed louder. Distant explosions shook the walls. Who taught you to shoot like that? The ghost asked suddenly. Cade blinked. My father. A subtle shift in the ghost's posture. He taught you survival drills, the ghost pressed. Yes. Knife defense. Yes. A quiet inhale through the mask. My father taught me the same way, the ghost said. Cade felt the world tilt. That's not possible, Cade said. Isn't it? The ghost replied. Before Cade could respond, Rana shouted from the doorway. Eli. Incoming unit. The name hit Cade like a hammer. Eli. Cade whispered. The ghost froze. Silence swallowed the room. Slowly, the ghost lifted a hand to the mask. Cade's heart slammed violently. The mask came off. Scarred cheek. Familiar eyes. Same jawline. Same expression he had seen in childhood mirrors. Eli, Cade breathed. Eli stared at him, eyes wide, voice breaking. Cade! Mason staggered backward. What the hell? The world narrowed to the space between the brothers. You're alive, Cade said. I thought you were dead, Eli replied. Gunfire erupted closer. Rana shouted again. We have seconds. Cade stepped forward instinctively. Eli, get out of here. Surrender. I can protect you. Eli shook his head sharply. You're wearing their uniform. They are not who you think they are. You don't know what I've seen. Eli snapped. Cade's voice cracked. I searched for you for months. I woke up buried under rubble, Eli said, emotion breaking through. They pulled me out. They saved me. They turned you into this. They gave me purpose. Mason whispered, panicked. Cade, we have to move. Eli's eyes flicked to Mason, then back to Cade. He'll shoot me. He won't, Cade said quickly. Mason swallowed hard. Boots thundered closer. Shouting filled the corridors. Rana grabbed Eli's arm. We need to go now. Cade stepped in front of them. No. We're ending this. Eli raised his rifle reluctantly. Move. Cade didn't. Their rifles pointed at each other. Brothers. Enemies. Inches apart. I promised I'd always protect you, Cade said softly. Eli's eyes filled. Then don't make me pull this trigger. A grenade bounced into the hall. Down! Mason yelled. The explosion threw everyone apart. Metal screamed. Smoke swallowed the room. When Cade regained his senses, Eli was gone. Rana had dragged him through a side exit. Cade slammed his fist into the wall. Damn it! Mason grabbed his shoulder. Cade, we're pulling out. Now! Cade hesitated, torn apart inside. They retreated under covering fire. Back at temporary base, silence suffocated the room. Mason finally spoke. You were going to let him go. Cade didn't deny it. That man has killed hundreds, Mason said quietly. Cade stared at the floor. He's my brother. Mason exhaled slowly. War doesn't care. Across the district, Eli collapsed against a wall, ripping the mask off, gasping. Rana crouched beside him. You okay? That was Cade, Eli whispered. My brother. Rana stared in shock. Deadeye. Eli nodded weakly. Silence stretched. We can't fight him again, Rana said carefully. Eli closed his eyes. We may not have a choice. If you're still with us, this is the moment everything changes. Make sure to like the video, subscribe for more cinematic stories, and tell us in the comments whose side you're on right now, Cade or Eli. Your support keeps this channel alive. That night, neither brother slept. Cade replayed Eli's face over and over. Alive. Scarred. Angry. Eli stared at the ceiling, hearing Cade's voice echo in his mind. Both knew the next encounter would decide everything. And both feared what they might become if forced to pull the trigger. The order came before sunrise. Both sides were moving in for a decisive strike on the river bridge that connected the last remaining supply routes. Whoever controlled it would cripple the other's momentum. Command called it a necessary bloodbath. Cade stared at the digital map projected across the briefing wall. The bridge pulsed red like a wound. Mason leaned close. This ends today. Cade didn't respond. Across the city, Eli studied the same bridge sketched on torn paper. Rebel scouts whispered updates around him. Rana's voice was quiet. If the government takes that bridge, we lose everything. Eli nodded slowly. Then we don't let them. Their eyes met. You think he'll be there? Rana asked. Eli didn't hesitate. Yes. The rain had stopped by the time Cade reached the outskirts of the bridge. Fog rolled low over the water, swallowing sound and distance. Burned vehicles littered the road like skeletons. Overwatch position secured, Mason said. Cade settled into a collapsed guard tower, rifle resting on sandbags. His heartbeat thudded louder than the distant artillery. Movement flickered near the bridge entrance. Rebel units flowed in quietly. Then a familiar silhouette emerged. The ghost. No mask this time. Eli. Cade inhaled sharply. Visual confirmed, Mason whispered. Take the shot. Cade's finger rested on the trigger. Eli raised his binoculars, scanning the rooftops. Their eyes locked across the fog. Time slowed. Cade whispered. Eli. Mason shifted. Cade, do it. Cade didn't fire. Eli spoke softly into his comms. Snipers at 11 o'clock. That's him. Rana's voice came through faintly. Orders. Eli hesitated. Hold. A rebel unit suddenly rushed the bridge prematurely. Gunfire erupted from government positions instantly. Chaos exploded. Bullets stitched across concrete. Explosions thundered. Screams pierced the fog. Mason cursed. They are pushing hard. Cade returned fire automatically, dropping advancing rebels, but every fallen body twisted his stomach. Eli sprinted forward to pull wounded fighters back, shouting commands, fearless under fire. Cade tracked him through the scope, heart pounding violently. Fall back! Mason yelled. An armored vehicle rolled onto the bridge from the government side, turret swiveling. Rana shouted into Eli's radio. Armor incoming. Eli grabbed a launcher and moved toward a damaged barricade. Cade's breath caught. If Eli fired, Mason's position would be compromised. If Cade fired, Eli would die. Cade! Mason screamed. Take him out before he fires. Eli lifted the launcher. Cade's finger trembled. Flashbacks collided in his mind. Tall grass. Laughter. A promise under a tree. Always protect each other. Cade! Mason yelled again. Cade fired, not at Eli, but at the launcher. The round struck the weapon, detonating it mid-lift. The blast threw Eli backward violently into the concrete. Rana screamed. Smoke swallowed everything. Mason stared at Cade. What did you just do? Cade was already moving. He slid down the ladder and sprinted toward the bridge through gunfire. Cade, you'll get killed. Mason shouted, but Cade didn't stop. Bullets tore into the pavement around him. Shrapnel cut his arm, but he pushed forward. He reached Eli, who lay dazed and bleeding, ears ringing. Cade! Eli coughed. Cade dropped beside him, dragging him behind a concrete divider. Stay with me, Cade said urgently. You shouldn't be here, Eli rasped. I'm not letting you die. Gunfire intensified. Government troops advanced rapidly. Rana rushed toward them, weapon raised. She froze when she recognized Cade. That's him, she whispered. Eli grabbed her sleeve. Don't. Rana hesitated. Cade locked eyes with Eli. We can end this. Walk away. Eli shook his head weakly. They'll hunt me forever. Then come with me. A moment of silence settled between explosions. You'd abandon your unit? Eli asked. Cade swallowed. I already did. Shouts grew louder. Boots pounded closer. Mason's voice crackled in Cade's earpiece. They are pushing fast. You have maybe 60 seconds. Rana scanned the smoke. Extraction route is collapsing. Eli's breathing became shallow. Blood soaked his sleeve. You have to go, Eli said quietly. Cade shook his head fiercely. Not without you. Eli grabbed Cade's vest, eyes burning with emotion. You saved me when we were kids. Let me save you now. Cade's voice broke. Don't say that. A rocket screamed overhead and slammed into the bridge supports. The structure groaned violently. Concrete cracked beneath them. Rana shouted. The bridge is coming down. Eli pushed Cade hard. Go! Cade refused. Eli pulled Cade closer, forehead touching his. I'm proud of you, big brother. Tears filled Cade's eyes. I failed you. Eli smiled faintly. You never did. Another explosion rocked the bridge. Metal snapped. Rana dragged Cade backward as debris collapsed between them and Eli. Cade! Eli shouted. I love you. Cade screamed back. The section of bridge gave way. Eli disappeared into smoke and falling concrete. The roar swallowed everything. Silence followed. Cade collapsed to his knees, screaming into empty air. Mason reached him moments later, pulling him back as secondary explosions ripped through the structure. The bridge collapsed into the river, cutting the battlefield in half. Hours later, rescue teams combed the wreckage. No body was found. Only fragments of shattered concrete and twisted steel. Cade sat alone near the riverbank, blood drying on his sleeve, staring at the water where his brother vanished. Mason approached quietly. I'm sorry. Cade didn't respond. The war continued. But something inside Cade had ended. Weeks later, Cade turned in his rifle. He left the unit without ceremony. He walked away from the battlefield carrying only memory and guilt. Sometimes at night, he dreamed of a scarred face smiling faintly before vanishing into smoke. And sometimes, he allowed himself to believe Eli might still be alive somewhere, waiting. If this story moved you, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel for more powerful cinematic stories, and leave a comment sharing what you think really happened to Eli. Did he survive, or was that their final goodbye? Your thoughts keep this community alive, because sometimes, the cruelest enemy isn't across the battlefield. Sometimes, it shares your blood.